Gamss, everybody, let him hear it. Show him up.
All right, how about the Super Bowl last night, huh? I don't really have anything to say about it. I just want it to sound socially relevant. So I love to travel, and recently I've been going to a couple of Latin American countries, and I've learned just how much Spanish I know from traveling to these countries. So I know just enough Spanish to make it very obvious to anyone that knows any Spanish that, yeah, I don't know any Spanish. Like, I know negative Spanish. That's pretty tough to know, like, negative of a language. So, like, you know the tests that wrong answers make you lose points? That's my Spanish. So it's like, here's the difference between no Spanish and negative Spanish. No Spanish is somebody comes over, oh, buenas noches. And I'm just like, that's no Spanish. I know less than that. That's a really bad place to be linguistically. You see, there are certain words that everybody knows. Everybody knows, like, muchas gracias. Everybody knows, what's the Terminator term, hasta la vista. And I know that's a reference that's 26 years old, but I'm still making it. Now, I know these words, but they're all, like, stuck in this little compartment in the back of my head. And I'm just, like, randomly throwing them out like darts, hoping that one of them hits. And it never does. It's never like, so, like, if somebody comes over to me, I'm going to walk out of my hotel, and the guy's going to be like, oh, buenos dias. And I'm going to be like, muy bien. Oh. Now, if you don't know what that means, muy bien is not the right response to buenos dias. That's all you need to know. So that's the Spanish I know. And I remember one time I was in Ecuador with a friend of mine, and we were renting a car, and the car had a scratch on the bumper. Now, we didn't want to, like, have to pay for that later, so we go over to the guy at the desk, and we're like, oh, there's a scratch on the bumper. Now, this doesn't mean scratch, this doesn't mean bumper. He has no idea what we're talking about. So we try to reword it, and we're like, no, the bumper is scratched, as if he's going to learn English in the 6 seconds of conversation that we're having. So he just stops and he responds, and he's like, no entiendo. So no entiendo, that's where I'm a ninja. I get that one right 100% of the time. And if you don't know what no entiendo means, it most literally translates to, I don't understand what you're saying. But it more accurately translates to, look, I'm from America, and I know I'm traveling to your country, and I should have learned a little bit about your language, but I'm from America, so we don't really do that. We're not gonna, yeah, so that's the Spanish I know. But recently I went to Cuba, and Cuba's cool, but you can't go to Cuba as an American as a tourist. You need to go for some other reason. So I went as a journalist. I wrote an article for a local newspaper about the Jewish community in Cuba. I don't know if you guys can tell, by the way, I'm Jewish. I don't know if that's extremely obvious. Some of you are laughing. It's the nose, isn't it? Yeah, that's the dead giveaway. So, but I was in Cuba, and one of the things that everybody tells you when you go to Cuba is you gotta see the really old cars. That's like the crazy thing there. And I went, and you know what? Yeah, the cars they're really old, but you know what else they have there? They have new cars. And now I'm like onto the government a little. Like, they probably had these old cars, and like, what do? We gotta throw them away. It's like, no. We're gonna make this a thing to tourists. We're gonna convince them that, we're gonna charge them more. If like, the more times you need to start the car before it starts, that's how much more your cab drive costs. 3 wheels? That's triple the price. And I feel like this business model wouldn't really work in America too well because you have to have the really, really, really old cars. And that works with Cuba because we have the embargo there. They don't have like all of the new stuff. But I feel like nobody's gonna be like, dude, seriously, there is a city in South Dakota where you can get a cab that is a 1988 Oldsmobile. I don't know. I don't think that holds the same business value. I don't think that, it wouldn't work for me, I know that. So, but one of the things that I've learned on all of my traveling is that as Americans, we kind of group everyone that's not American. There's like this social level that we think we're a little higher, kind of the way all other developed countries look at Americans. So I feel like, but like earlier today I said I was traveling to Latin American countries. We just like smush it all together. And I remember one time I had gone into a sushi restaurant, and the guy was making the sushi fresh for me, and I'm talking to him. Turns out he was Chinese. Now, that's not that okay. That's kind of like racist there, because the guy was obviously looking for a job, and the owner's like, whatever. Far East Asia, China, Japan, it doesn't really matter. So some of you think that that might not be cool, but none of you are off the hook here, because I once went into a Chinese restaurant, and I sat down, and I looked at the menu, And there's an American Chinese restaurant, by the way, that is nothing like Chinese food. So I'm sitting in the restaurant, and there's a dish called Mongolian beef. That's like a pretty famous dish. That's a totally different country, you know that, right? Mongolia is its own thing. I don't know how that stuck. It snuck its way into like American Chinese food. But yeah, I just feel like, whatever. It's Far East Asia, Mongolia, China, but just a little bit of a history lesson. Do you know why they built the Great Wall of China? That was like to keep the Mongolians out, and we're just like, yeah, whatever, it's all the same. So we can take well, not everybody, I know that there are a couple of people that aren't from America here, but we can take our American racism, if you will, and have a great night with it. We've all been doing it.
One more time for Mark Gamss, everybody!